Good morning, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of the Tournament Podcast, the fastest growing podcast in all the land, and if I may say so myself, the neatest. I'm joined, as always, with my brothers Tom and Marty, and this week I decided to go back to the film industry, take a little break from wrestling, which is kind of our I'd say our go-to, our wheelhouse, if you will. This week, I'm going to go to movies, and currently we are recording at the end of September, but by the time you hear this, it will be October, which is one of my favorite times of year, specifically for the Halloween season. So I wanted to do something horror movie themed. Ultimately, decided to go with a reverse tournament, which we've done a few times in the past. And the topic this week will be the greatest horror movie protagonist. So, not the villain, not the Jason, not the Michael Myers of the story, but the good guy. We're going to be doing a reverse style tournament to build, like we typically do our top 10 and then dwindle it down maybe from 8 to 1 of who we think is the top, as you would say, good guy, baby face, if you will, to use the wrestling terminology, of horror movies. So, but before we get started, just, like to throw the reminder out there. If you like what you hear, please give us a like, subscribe, tell your friends. You can also find us online on Instagram. Um, we're on, well, goodness gracious, we're everywhere.
Yep.
So, LinkedIn, we're active everywhere. So give us a follow, look us up, subscribe. Let us know what you think. We love to hear from you guys. So, of course, every week, give us your thoughts, what you thought of that week's video. If there's anything you disagreed with, if you agree with, if there's people in the tournaments that you think were either shouldn't have been included, people you thought were missing, let us know. We love the feedback. So without further ado, I will get us started. And I just kind of jotted a few names down here of people that jumped right into my head. The first one I have is actually Tommy Jarvis
Oh,
from the Friday the 13th films. And that was, for some reason, Tommy Jarvis. If people that are fans of horror movies will remember, that character was in, I believe it was parts 4, 5, and 6, played by different actors in every movie, but the character itself was in 4, 5, and 6 of the Friday the 13th franchise. So that's actually the first one that I had written down here.
and was he the
So,
same gentleman that was in one of the greatest horror comedy
oh,
movies ever made?
oh, he sure was Mr. Tom Matthews.
Yep, there you
He
go.
was he played him in what, part 6? Because part 4 was Corey Feldman.
Yuck.
Part 5 was Corey Feldman at the very beginning, and then the majority of the movie was his name John Shepard, I believe. Um, and yep, Tom Matthews was part 6. So the amazing Tom Matthews, who I would love to have as a guest on our podcast one day.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Oh,
yeah, and I am referring to him from Return of the Living Dead.
oh, yep.
Maybe the
Gotcha.
greatest horror comedy ever made.
Oh yeah, he's been in two of the greatest franchises,
Yeah.
Return of the Living Dead and Friday the 13th. So,
Ooh,
Um,
so, can I ask for a little clarification, Mike? Can this be just even for like one individual movie, like a protagonist that may have been killed, but we're like, oh, they were,
oh
they were
yeah,
neat. Okay.
because initially I was thinking, do we just do? I didn't want to limit it to just the franchises. So yeah, because there's plenty of characters that were probably in one movie that are deserving of consideration. So yeah. So let's see, Tommy, if you want to go ahead and pick somebody.
Yeah, boy. Okay. Yeah, this is a difficult reverse tournament. My immediate thought is I'm just going to like what some of my favorite horror films of all time are. And so some of these I'm not going to immediately know like what the character's name was in the movie, but I and I'd also correct me if I'm bridging the gap between like horror and sci-fi or something,
Oh,
but
yes.
I
I
mean,
bet
there'd be two. I won't say both. I'll get the next one next time. But the first one that would come to mind to me, and again, gosh, I cannot think of his name in the movie, but Kurt Russell's character in The Thing.
Oh, nice.
I think The
That's
Thing
a great one.
is one of the greatest horror movies ever made. His character. I mean, obviously he's a badass. He's the one that kind of helps figure everything out. Um, yeah, I
Let's be
mean,
honest. Kurt Russell's a badass in every movie he's in.
yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, you could, depending on how far you wanted to stretch horror, I mean, yeah, you could have him on this list multiple times.
What's his name? It looks like it was it Mccready or Macready?
Hmm.
Something. I will be honest with you guys and the listeners. I am actually yet to see The Thing.
Oh
Whoa.
wow!
What?
I typically
Woof.
like to watch. I typically like to watch good horror movies, so I am
What?
yet to see the. I'm,
Oh my god!
I'm kidding about that, but because it is a John Carpenter classic.
Oh yeah,
It's a
it's
great movie.
I've often said. I mean, you know, just again depending on what. And actually, my favorite horror movie of all time will come up here next, but yeah, it's R.J.
Yes.
Mccready.
Mccready, okay.
But yeah, I mean, he is that movie. Are you serious? You've never seen the 1982 The Thing?
I have not yet. I've seen bits and pieces of it, but I've actually never watched the whole movie yet
Yeah, I'd
in
say
its
it's
entirety.
probably my favorite, or tied for favorite horror sci-fi movie ever. I mean, it is fantastic.
And it
It
also has
is.
Keith David in it, which I know
Oh,
we all love Keith
Yep.
David.
it holds up still today, in my opinion. The Thing, like
Oh my
for
God.
being in the
Yeah.
early '80s, the what do you want to call it? The special effects and everything. It still holds up. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Wilford Brimley.
Yep.
Man.
Absolutely. Make sure that's a Halloween watch then, Mike. You gotta
Yeah.
watch the original The Thing. I mean, it is
Oh,
just so good.
I'll check it out.
So yeah, I'll go with R.J. McCready in terms of a protagonist. I mean, he is. I mean, he's running. Of course, you wouldn't know this because you haven't seen it, but yeah, I mean, he is. He's certainly a badass in that movie.
It's neat.
Nice. All right, Marty. Who would
Oh,
you like to add to the list?
easy for me to start off. Laurie Strode.
Oh, nice. That
Yeah, I thought
was
of her.
obviously that was also one of the names I had.
And if people aren't familiar with the actress, it's Jamie Lee Curtis.
Oh, they're familiar.
Oh, I would think so, but she has reprised this. Is that the word? Reprised the role again, and
Yeah.
she's been in how many of these movies? I mean, that's a
Um,
great character that's been. I mean, 30 years in these different movies.
I believe in 7 of them, if I'm not mistaken.
That's intense.
Yeah, the character, yeah, because I believe her voice was featured in the 3rd one.
Hmm.
Jamie Lee Curtis, that is. But as far as the Laurie Strode character, I believe it's been 7, including the next 2. So the one, Halloween Kills, which comes out in 3 weeks, and then the final one, quote unquote, that comes out whatever a year or 2 from now, including those 2. I believe it's 7. So she's
Yeah,
definitely
that's
been an ample.
absolutely, which makes her character. I mean, it stands the test of time, and to still be, someone who people have interest in. That's amazing.
Agreed, and that is a great
Absolutely.
selection. Better
And
than
it's been
McCready.
what 40 years, not even 30, 40 years.
Oh yeah. Yep. So far, we've got a pretty good list, and McCready's on here too. So See okay, haha.
I said, "Oh no,
Here
I
it
can't
goes.
believe you said that."
Let's see. For my next pick, I am going to go with Ash Williams from the Evil Dead
Nice.
franchise.
Nice.
It is
Again, been
good.
in what, multiple movies, television show, uh, comic books, video games. Yeah, I mean Bruce Campbell and Ash Williams are synonymous with each other, and Ash has to be considered one of the best and possibly the best. We shall see.
Yeah,
Horror movie
absolutely.
protagonist of
Yeah.
all times.
Yeah, and he has stood the test of time from multiple movies into a TV series. So, yeah, obviously there's something to be said with that character.
And I already wrote down the fifth person because you're up next there, Tommy, and I have it because you said horror, sci-fi. I if I'm wrong, I will be shocked at
Well,
who your next pick is gonna be.
yeah, I think you're going to be wrong because I think
Oh wow.
I know where you're going, and that's where it makes it difficult when you're trying to decide, is it really a horror?
Yeah.
And my assumption is you probably thought I was going in the Predator direction.
Oh, I will scratch Dutch off
Yeah.
then. Yes.
It will not be that. Maybe we can come back to that.
Huh.
But mine was going to be what I consider the greatest horror movie of all time. Well, just my favorite ever.
Yes. Goes
And,
to
and I
Mars.
don't know the last name. I looked it up here, but so correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the character's name is Eben Olesen. And that is actually one of my favorite actors. And you don't see him much. Josh Hartnett from 30 Days of Night.
Ooh.
Oh.
Now, I assume Mike has seen that one. That
Oh
is
goodness.
fantastic.
That movie
Yeah.
is amazing. Yeah. Yeah, Eben, is it Eben Olsen or Olesen? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but oh, that's a good one because yeah, that is a great movie.
And it's short-lived. He's one movie, and he passes away at the end. But in terms of a character, what he's able to go through and eventually do to himself to save the group,
Oh,
in terms of a protagonist, you gotta have him right up there. And then just
oh yeah.
I don't know how much we're taking the movie into account, but the movie is just so good. I mean,
Yeah, it is.
I was so excited when I saw, oh my God, they made a 30 Days of Night too. And then I watched 5 minutes of it, and I was like, oh no.
Because
So
it was all like she was played by a new actress, and
yeah,
I don't even know if his character featured at the very beginning. Just didn't they show him like when he
disintegrated, yeah,
when he
they did.
disintegrated in the sun?
That's
Yeah,
how it
so
starts. But yeah, the original, I just don't know how you get better. I mean, there can be maybe things right up there with it. I don't know how you get better. I mean, it is an absolute masterpiece of horror.
oh, it is. It's a great movie, and
Yeah.
even the vampires. Because
Yeah.
at one point I did consider going with, instead of doing the protagonist, I was gonna go with the antagonist. So but I was like, that's you know at least just off the top of my head, you could probably build a top 8 right there with Freddy, Jason,
Yeah.
Michael, Chucky, all those. So I was like, it might be more interesting to go the other way and do the protagonist because it doesn't, might not be as obvious some of the selections. So, but no, that's a very, very good selection, and yeah, a great movie.
Indeed.
So, Eben is on the list. Marty, who's your next edition gonna be?
Well, this might be someone that, unless you are a die-hard horror movie fan, may not be familiar with. We are, all of us, and we love him in this movie. I'm going to go old school and go with Ken Foray as Peter
Nice,
from Dawn of the Dead.
nice.
Peter's incredible. I want to pick Roger also, but I get
Yeah,
one
I was
pick.
just gonna say that. Boy, it's hard to pick one over the other. They're
Hey,
both so
you could
good.
you could put Flyboy on here.
No, we couldn't. I think Peter and Roger are sufficient.
Flyboy. You'd be better off putting Flyboy's girlfriend on there than Flyboy.
Oh, yep.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep, at least she was tough.
Oh, she was. Flyboy
Flyboy.
was a cis cake and actually ended up getting himself killed. I believe.
Yep. The elevator
But-
scene's horrific, but for
Yeah.
anyone who hasn't seen Dawn of the Dead, the original from '78, George A. Romero highly recommended, a classic.
Yep, nice, good selection,
Absolutely.
and that's a beautiful segue into my next selection
Nice.
because I'm gonna go back a decade, and I'm gonna add Ben from George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead.
Oh,
that was
Ben's neat.
oh, absolutely. Ben, another character that just obviously Night of the Living Dead is just one movie. Traditionally, none of the characters really carry on to the next Dead movie, the next Romero, zombie movie. But so Ben's only in the one movie, but he's clearly the main character, the main protagonist. Spoiler alert for anybody that hasn't seen the movie. This, 53 years on, but Ben does not make it out of the movie alive, but not really due to any of his own faults. So, but yeah, Ben is a great character and definitely the top baby face, if you will, of that movie. So Ben
Yep.
is added to the list.
That's a good one.
All right, Tommy. So far, we've got what? Is it 8? We got Tommy Jarvis. We've got Mccready, Laurie Strode, Ash Williams. We've got Eben, Ben, and Peter. So far, we got a decent little list here. And I figure normally I think we go up to like 10 to 12, and then whittle it down from there. So I figure we can kind of do something similar to how we've done them in the past. So
Yeah, and then it's starting to get difficult, and I don't want to, divert too far and try to stretch horror. I mean, I would imagine this movie, this series of movies would be a horror sci-fi. I mean, if I'm wrong, I guess we don't have to add this character, but just in terms of repeat performances and how good she is in these movies, I am going to go with the Alien series and Ripley.
nice.
If we
That's
consider
actually
those horror.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems pretty horrific to me. So yeah, I actually that's one name that I had kind of jotted down when I was just jotting some people down for possibilities. Yeah, Ripley was actually one of the first names I think I wrote down. So yeah, that's a good addition.
And that is, since Mike was honest, I'll be honest, I have not seen the Alien movies. I think maybe I've seen a snippet of the original, but I have not seen any of those movies. So,
Jeez. Well, the second one, Aliens, is again, as we mentioned earlier, I put it up there with Predator as 1A and 1B. My favorite sci-fi movies of all time. It's just so well made. I mean, there's just nothing bad about it. It's just so good. It flows so well. I always, none of the other ones live up to that to me. I mean, the first one's probably the next best in my opinion, but man, that second one is just fantastic.
Yeah, the first two are good, and then after that they get, I think, progressively worse, as most movie franchises do. So, but yeah, it's a solid addition. All right, Marty, who would you like to add to this
ooh,
ever-growing list?
well, this is it is getting tough because I think we covered like the main people.
Yeah,
There's
and
someone that is coming to mind for me. Again, this might stretch what you consider to be a horror movie, but again, to me, it's pretty darn terrifying. I am actually, um, I would go with Paul, played by James Caan in Misery.
Oh,
Yeah.
Because Paul is, I mean, he's a nice guy. He's, dedicated writer, and he goes through hell.
Oh, oh God, what's it?
And
Paul Sheldon. I couldn't remember the last name, but yeah, Paul Sheldon.
and James Caan is such a sensational actor. That character, I mean, gosh, you feel for him. He jumps to mind. To me as uh, poor guy. That's all I can say. If you haven't seen Misery, anyone, that's another one. It's a shocker. It's got an intense build up to it. I think that movie's fantastic.
Oh, yeah, it is fantastic. So, alrighty, let's see. So we've got 10. I mean, we don't have to go if we all, are able to add one more maybe, and then we can start to dwindle it down here. Because the next person that came to my mind, if would be the character of Sidney Prescott from the Scream movies,
Oh,
played
okay.
by Neve Campbell.
Hmm.
Because she's been in what I think 4 so far. They're coming out with a 5th one actually here at some point, and I know she's reprising the role in that one as well. So she's been in, all 5 of them. I'm not sure if she's gonna make it to the end of the 5th one or not, but she survived 4 of them and is clearly a badass in all those movies. So I will add her to the list.
Neat.
So if Tommy, if you're able to add one more.
I'm able to add one more, and it's a one-off, and this person probably won't make the final cut. But again, I just almost feel like this movie needs to be mentioned because I think it's one that maybe some people haven't seen. And again, I keep saying, oh my God, it's one of the greatest, and to me it is. The problem I'm having is the reason that I'm gonna and I'm gonna hopefully I'm not wrong with this, but I'm gonna go with the mom character. Her name is Emma in The Last House on the Left,
Oh,
and it's the
nice.
2009, I believe, remake. And if you haven't seen The Last House on the Left 2009, God in heaven, it is so good. I mean, it is so well made, and the characters are phenomenal. They build like this anticipation, and it's great. But there's one scene in particular where, and I believe, and this is where I hope I'm not getting it wrong. That's why I chose the mom, Emma, who's played by Monica Potter. The quote unquote bad guys are in her house, and she discovers Aaron Paul is actually one of the bad guys.
Oh,
She
nice.
finally discovers that Aaron Paul is one of them, and I think at some point, like trying to fight him and literally kill him, she takes one of his hands and shoves it down the garbage disposal and turns it on, and he's just
Man.
screaming, and as you can imagine, but I almost sound like a nutcase, but it's such a great scene. Um, but I believe it's her. I don't think it's the husband. I think he's unconscious at the time, or he's somewhere else. But yeah, I mean, what a character. And then her and her husband, have to fight off these band of degenerates and save their daughter's life, who, you know, at that point has been like shot and has a lung collapsed, and it's just a great story. But anyway, without going on and on, I'm going to go with Emma from The Last House on the Left, 2009, just because I
Nice.
felt compelled to mention that movie. If somebody's listening to this and hasn't seen it, I'm telling you, just like 30 Days of Night, I'm promising you, you will not be disappointed.
And it sounds brutal, the whole, shoving a hand in the garbage disposal. But yeah, keep in mind for any parents listening to this that, I mean, who wouldn't, to save your child's life?
And
Most
it's
of
a
us
great
would do something
mother
like
and
that.
father
So,
revenge story. They band together, and yeah, it's just so good.
Nice. All right. She's on the list. She just made the list. All right, Marty, if you wanted to add one more, and we can start to dwindle it down then to the top 8.
I actually do have a couple now that
Ooh.
I've been thinking about it, but
Nice. Oh, we can
sounds
put them
like
all.
I can only,
I mean, if
pick.
you wanna put more than one, we can put them all on here.
Well, I mean, let me first of all just say who barely missed the cut, who would be like, to me, an honorable mention would be Johnny from The Walking Dead. I'm kidding. Johnny's a nut, but Johnny from the original Walking Dead.
Oh, you mean Night of the Living Dead?
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was trying to rattling off in my head. God, who was Johnny?
No, yeah, my apologies. Night of the Living Dead, Johnny, who they're coming to
Aw,
get you, Barbara.
poor
That not
Johnny.
Johnny's honorable mention, but I'm down to 2 people, and I'm trying to decide which one I want to pick. But I think I have to pick. I'm gonna go with what's her name? Emily Blunt. Her character from The Quiet Place.
Oh, nice.
You talk about a bad A. What she goes through in that movie is incredible. You
Yep.
know, again, spoiler alert. I believe is she in labor or
She
something? And
Yeah.
she's fighting in a bathtub and has to be quiet because any noise will attract these like alien monster things. It's such an intense scene. I have to go with her character. I mean, that's just incredible.
Just like when she steps on the nail and you know it's coming,
Yes.
it's like, oh, it's just gut wrenching to watch
Yep.
it. You're like, don't do it, don't do it.
Yep, it's intense. Her character definitely. So she barely edged out someone that I'm sad that didn't make the list.
I said you can add another person if you
Well,
like.
if you guys both agree, how could none of us have mentioned the great Dr. Loomis?
Oh,
Are we nuts?
That's quite true. I guess once you introduced Halloween and went with Laurie Strode, I just kind of didn't think to go back to the same movie.
Yeah.
But I mean,
that's initially why I didn't, because since I added Lori, but he had Dr. Loomis is added now just because you brought him up as well.
Nice. I mean, I feel that he deserves to be.
Oh, he deserves to be.
But I still think that Emily Blunt's character would be, if I had to pick between those two right now, I would pick her just because the badassery and the intensity and being a mom the way she is makes it.
Nice. All right. Well, looks like we've got, with those last 2 editions of Emily Blunt's character from Quiet Place and Dr. Sam Loomis, aka the greatest doctor in entertainment history. We have 14 entries. So I think that's unless there's anybody else, any of us want to add, which I think we got pretty much all the big the big characters, the big protagonists on here. So all right, so we have 14. Now, is there anybody, if we're going to try to dwindle it down to the top 8, is there anybody that that we right off the bat would want to get rid of?
oh man, shoot.
It might be easier for us to pick who
Or
we
do
think
we?
should.
I was actually going to say, that's funny you mentioned that. I was going to say, well, I don't know, and obviously it's however you want to do it, but I would just start out of the gate and say, and again, obviously I'm going to say this, but to me, just in the number 1 spot, at least on a temporary basis, should be Eben. I mean, because the character is just so good. I mean, and he obviously
he is.
basically risks his life to save others. So in
Oh
terms of a
yeah,
protagonist, you can't get much better than that. Um, yeah, I mean, he's obviously the leader throughout the entire movie. He's just, yeah, I mean, he's a hell of a character.
nice. Yeah, we will go ahead and put Eben on here. Um, and I think it's safe to assume I'll just throw the two names that jumped out at me immediately are Laurie Strode and Ash Williams.
No,
Yeah.
Do
agreed.
either
Now
one of you
that's,
have a?
oh, sorry. So yeah, you definitely have more mass appeal with those names.
Yeah.
But you got to think, what are they doing in the movies? Obviously, they're both going through absolute hell.
Oh yeah.
um, and obviously, both alive to this day, where Evan is not. Whew. Um,
Does Eben jump into a grinder or fall into a grinder? He throws the main vampire in like
yeah.
a big industrial grinder in.
I think it's one of the guys that's with them that, or actually maybe not. So was it one of the guys that's with them that had gotten attacked and turned?
It was. He was turning, and yeah, that was right towards the end. They were in that room with
Yeah.
that big grinder, and yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm gonna have to rewatch it,
A
but I
great
think
movie.
yeah, somebody. I don't know if they like grab a vampire and jump into it, and he kills himself as well. That's not the Evan character, as he melts away at the end. But yeah, I don't know. I have to rewatch that.
Yeah, it
It's
is
the
a
perfect time
solid
of the year
movie.
for it. But I
Absolutely.
guess I'd go just in terms of moving on here a little bit, and however we want to do it. I'd probably put Ash above of Laurie Strode, only because he's doing this one-handed.
Oh, that is a good point. Although he does have a chainsaw attached to his hand.
Oh,
Yeah,
true.
So
And he cuts his own hand off. If you
yeah.
put that
So
into consideration.
that even makes
yeah.
him, more of a badass. I think Limp Bizkit made a song about him too.
Like a chainsaw.
Yeah, I mean, so that would just be my, that he cut his own hand off to try to prevent the disease, if you will, from spreading, and now is doing everything one-handed, even though he does have a chainsaw or a shotgun or whatever the heck he puts on there. But that's just my opinion.
No, I'll go with that. So we got Eben, Ash Williams, and Laurie Strode. Let's see here. I'm just looking at some of the names written down, and whew.
Yeah, we can probably eliminate my mom from the last house on the left. I said I more wanted to throw that in just because to give the movie some props if some folks haven't seen it. Again, perfect time of the year to watch it, and I'm a big fan of like the Taken and those revenge type movies, and this is such a well crafted revenge movie. It's just beautiful.
Nice. All right, I went ahead and scratched her off then. Man, one of the names just kind of going off, like you said, taking into consideration what the character, not even necessarily like how long the character survived, like movie to movie or whatever, but just what they went through and what they endured. But of course, if they go through hell and then come out at the end, that's obviously going to be even more impressive. So just kind of thinking about that, man, Paul Sheldon's one of the names that jumped right out at me because, yeah, like Marty said, that poor guy goes through absolute hell. And if you figure at the end of that movie, he's doing it all with basically no feet.
Oh,
He
Yeah.
has to slay the beast, if you will, with no feet. Whew, because oh man, is that a brutal? Speaking of scenes that are brutal,
and
oh goodness.
how resourceful was Paul in that movie? And he's trying to rehabilitate himself. I think he's using the typewriter to help strengthen himself, like lifting it like weights, if I believe, trying to build his strength so he can try to escape.
He
Yeah,
lifts it all right.
it's intense.
Yeah. So yeah, just thinking of the stuff he's endured, and the fact that he does survive, and like I said, he does it all, basically without being able to use his feet after what she does to him earlier in the movie. My
Mm.
God,
That's
oh,
one of the
that
hardest
scene.
movie scenes
Oh,
to watch ever.
yeah,
I mean, to me.
man. Oh, I agree. Man, is it brutal? But yeah, God bless him. He comes out on the other end of it and survives. So I had to throw Paul on there just based on that. So
Nice.
all right. Um, is there anybody else that kind of jumps out at either one of you that you'd like to add to? So far, we've got Eben, Ash Williams, Laurie Strode, and Paul Shelton on this list. I figure we can do the 8.
Yeah, I actually go to one of Marty's, or I'm sorry, maybe it was one of your two late editions, and just again because we glossed over him because of the movie, but even though Laurie Strode's so high, I'd have to go Dr. Loomis. I mean, he is,
Nice.
yeah, I mean, a fantastic character. I mean, just on a damn manhunt for this Michael Myers throughout, and as Michael won't stop, neither will Dr. Loomis. So, um,
Yep, he's passionate, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, that's a great addition as well.
yeah, I
Yep,
mean,
and you
he's
you
you know
figure,
pumps him full
oh
of lead. He literally, again,
yeah,
like Eben, he is going to sacrifice his life to blow him up. It doesn't turn out that way, but yeah, I mean,
oh, that's what happens when your movie makes too much money.
yep, just
They
got a
bring
little
you back
scar on
from
his
the
face.
dead. Oh, yep. But that's a great, and you figure this poor gentleman did all this when he was what, in his 60s or 70s? So
Yeah,
that makes it even more impressive. I don't think I could do that now being 40,
I hear
let
you.
alone being in my 60s or 70s. So
The
yeah, that's a great addition.
I'll tell you the one negative for Loomis for me though would be his aim seems to be horrific, but besides that, he is top notch.
Well, in part
Oh, yep.
one, he got him what 3 times or so.
Oh, he got him 6
Oh,
times
I
6.
thought
actually.
he didn't he miss a boatload of times though, or maybe I'm wrong.
That's why Michael's such a
Now,
badass.
throughout the rest of the movies, he may have, but I think in the first one,
When he shoots him off the balcony, I
yeah,
think.
exactly. I think he connects
Well,
with all of them.
in all fairness, you try getting blown up in a hospital and see if your aim's not thrown off after. So,
Yeah, good point. I apologize.
most of us wouldn't survive. Samuel
Yep.
Loomis survived. Like Tommy said, a little scarring on the face, and his aim was thrown off a little bit, but
Good
otherwise
point.
he was good to go.
I
So,
apologize, guys. You got me actually.
all right. So we'll add Dr. Loomis. Whew, let's see. I'm just looking at some names. Like, is there anybody we would, man, just to get to a top 8, we'd have to get rid of 6 people.
Phew.
So yeah, I agree. It is easier to kind of do the reverse. So we've got 5 so far, and Eben, Ash, Laurie Strode, Paul Sheldon, and Dr. Loomis.
Well, who do we
Um,
have? Like, who's our remaining group that we can maybe pick one to move into the top
we've
8?
got we've got Tommy Jarvis, we've got Mccready, yeah,
Oh,
we've got Ben and Peter from Night and Dawn of the Living Dead, respectively. We've got Ripley. We've got Sidney Prescott from the Scream franchise. And then I'll have to look up Emily Blunt's character from A Quiet Place.
okay. Wow. So we actually do have quite a few in there. I think that should move on. I bias opinion, but I would say AJ McCready um, certainly deserves to be in there just for what that character goes through and his leadership in the entire movie and the ability to stay with somewhat of a calm head when everybody else is, losing their mind. And um, I mean, just a great character. I don't know what else to say. You could just ramble on and on. And it doesn't hurt that the movie is fantastic as well, and he happens to be the protagonist. But yeah, he's just a sensational character in a sensational movie.
All right, I went ahead and added Mccready on here then. All right, Marty, did you have any thoughts? Anybody you wanted to
Um,
move on or eliminate?
I mean, geez, Pete, it's such a good list. It's hard to, say, quote
That it
unquote,
is.
pick someone out. I personally would love to see Peter make it.
That was going to be my next thought too. Was Peter.
Yeah, I mean, Peter, if you talk about, what someone did in the movie, I mean, Peter used his, military strategy and, his calm presence throughout the whole movie. He was like a voice of reason. Peter, to me, obviously, he survived. Peter is top notch. I'd like to see Peter advance.
I don't think you're getting any arguments from either one of us.
No,
So
absolutely not.
So Peter is on the list. So let me see. How many do we have so far? So we've got 7 so far.
Wow. Okay,
And again, doesn't mean that any of these people aren't deserving. Just at the end of the day, it's, it's all subjective. It's just who we think personally are our favorite characters. So
who do we have left now that isn't in the top 7?
So now we have, let's see here. We have Tommy Jarvis. We've got Ben, Ripley, Sidney Prescott, and then it looks like Evelyn Abbott is the character from A Quiet Place.
Oh, wow.
Which, damn,
okay,
it almost.
well, let's just all pick who we think would be the best choice out of those. See if any of us say the same name. I'm going to just, and maybe this is too easy, but I'm going to go with Ripley.
Oh, I was going to go with Emily Blunt's character from Quiet Place.
All right.
That's actually where I was leaning, again, just because of what she adores throughout that movie and having to stay silent throughout the entire movie. Oh, yeah, like you said, just to give birth and not be able to make a sound. Man, that sounds horrific. She goes through so much hell in that movie and then loses family. And again, you can't make a sound. Oh, man. To me, it's almost hard not to add her.
Well, yeah, and I think since it was 2-3 or 2-1, that she should be added in.
All right, so we have Eben, Ash, Lori, Paul, Loomis, Mccready, Peter, and Evelyn Abbott, which means Tommy Jarvis, which I'm fine, I guess, getting rid of Tommy Jarvis. Ben, is everybody okay scratching Ben off the list then?
Poor Ben. I mean, if we have to with this particular list, but Ben is a top-notch character.
Oh yeah, Ben was a hell of a character, and again, more or less should have survived if not, it wasn't by anything he did. So
yeah,
but yeah, it's just like I said, it's just a tough list. So I went ahead and scratched off Ben. I'll go ahead and get rid of Sydney from the Scream movies, and then we have Ripley, which, man, Ripley is such a renowned character. It does seem.
Yeah, I think when you're only going with 8, as we normally do in these reverse tournaments, it makes it difficult. Somebody's got to be left off. So
Yeah.
And by chance, if you made it this far in the video, just a quick reminder to give us a thumbs up if you would. Comment below. Let us know what you think about our choices, and if you're feeling extra gracious today, subscribe to the channel. We would appreciate that tremendously.
Absolutely.
We need all the help we can get here at the Tournament Podcast.
All right. So then the top 8 are Eben, Ash Williams, Laurie Strode, Paul Sheldon, Dr. Loomis, Mccready, Peter from Dawn of the Dead, and then Evelyn Abbott from A Quiet Place. So those are the remaining 8. Um, do we want to try to put them in a particular order from? I was gonna
I'm
say worst the best, but when you have 8, it's nobody's bad, but
Yeah, that's difficult. I'm almost, or at least just again in my 1/3 opinion here, okay with 1, 2, 3. I almost would move 4 out of that spot with I believe it's Paul Sheldon, and I'd give that to Peter. That's just
nice,
my opinion.
nice,
I,
Marty.
I don't disagree. Like if it's coming down to those guys, I would put Peter above Paul, definitely.
Nice. Hey, we'll
So
go
then
ahead and
you'd
we'll.
bump everybody down a notch.
Not to minimize what Paul went
Oh,
through at
phew,
all, but
yeah.
Oh
Paul,
nope.
just for what he did go through and how he was able to overcome, should probably stay entrenched at 5. So then it's what do we have at 6, 7, and 8? Should we do any maneuvering there?
So we have our top 5. So 6, 7, and 8 right now would be between what? Dr. Loomis, Mccready, and Evelyn Abbott.
Um,
And again, all these people are badasses for various reasons.
Now again, just my opinion, just to get the conversation started, I'd probably go Evelyn Abbott, maybe Dr. Loomis, and then Mccready, 8. Um, and I'm just trying to think of the movie and what they went through and how they overcame. I mean, Dr. Loomis, well, the thing with Dr. Loomis is he's never really being stalked. He's just kind of hunting. But, I mean, not that he doesn't go through hell.
And that actually isn't, that's a good point because, yeah, throughout the movies, I don't think Michael's always just trying to get to Lori or, depending on which films,
Yeah.
the Jamie Lloyd character in the later movies, but he's never really going after Loomis. Loomis is always hunting him.
Yeah.
So yeah, he does go through some hell, and his life is threatened multiple times. But that is a good point. He's not like the sole target of Michael's, if you will. So
So, however you'd want to do 7, 8 there, but I think, the lady from A Quiet Place should definitely be 6.
um
In my opinion, you guys can
yeah,
change it if you like.
I'm fine actually. And as much as I love the Halloween franchise and the Dr. Loomis character, that is a very good point you just raised. The fact that he's not, even though he's obviously a central character, his life isn't really in danger as much as maybe other people in the movie because he's, like I said, not the sole or the main target. Where Mccready, I believe, is well, obviously in that movie, aren't they all pretty much up for grabs? So
Yeah, yeah, they're
I mean,
all equally that, and that's part of the suspense because you never know.
yeah. So I'm fine just based on that, moving Loomis to 8th and putting Mccready at 7.
And you just have to do me a favor. Um, you know, Time is short. I've had some medical issues here that, not life threatening, but, you just never know what can happen. But promise me that you will watch the original, The Thing,
Oh, I
by
will watch
Halloween.
it. I'm not opposed to watching it. It's just I don't know. I don't know why it just never been on the list for some reason.
It's well acted, it's well directed. I mean, it's just a masterpiece. And of all the things that John Carpenter has done,
Yeah.
I, I mean, I would be hard pressed to think of something that's better. I mean, it is just that good. So
It is
good.
good. Real good.
All right. So it looks like we have a top 8 then, unless, we want to make any more moves. Or we got Eben, Ash, Williams, Laurie Strode, Peter, Paul Sheldon. That's our top 5. And then finishing out the top 8 is Evelyn Abbott from A Quiet Place, Mccready, and Dr. Sam Loomis.
Yeah, that sounds pretty darn good to me. Again, anybody watching this and or listening to it, I should say, if you have any opinion on that, and I'm sure you do, please let us know. Is there any glaring omissions that you're like, oh my God, these guys are crazy. They didn't bring this person up. Let us know. We'd love to hear your opinion. Maybe we'll have to do a part 2 of this.
Yeah. All right, so we have our top 8 horror movie protagonists. I think it's a pretty good list, and I'm ready to call it an episode then. Yeah, unless either one of you guys has anything to add.
I was just going to say, we're back, baby.
Oh yeah. Yep.
We're back and better than ever. Hopefully.
Well, we're back.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that said, thank you for listening. Thank you for the support as always. Like, share, subscribe. Find us on Twitter, Instagram. We appreciate the support, the comments. So thank you for listening, and we will be back next week with an all-new episode of the Tournament Podcast.